Hello, Paul.
Sorry, you caught me drinking a coffee and during the countdown. Thought I'd be able to get it in there, but I haven't.
No.
Yeah, morning, Martin. How are you?
Morning. All right, mate. It is Tuesday, the 28th of November. Almost Christmas, Paul.
Woo! Almost Christmas. You said it, didn't you? You said
I did. I had to get it in there.
You did it deliberately, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Setting the tone.
Paul loves Christmas.
I like Christmas, just not for a month.
After years of analog success,
lifelong media vets Martin and Paul
are entering the digital unknown.
The tech-naive duo will either adapt
or become obsolete.
Join these plucky, wisecracking founders
as they document the genuine struggles of using machine learning.
Will artificially intelligent guides rocket them to digital disruption?
Or will the learning curve squash their scrappy moxie?
Stay tuned for the triumphant failures of two savvy dinosaurs
striving to evolve
on the Meat Puppets.
Okay, I'm Martin, and I am in my loft. Not between anywhere and anywhere, just in my loft.
Yeah, I didn't think one either. I'm Paul, and I'll tell you what, I'm between my microphone and my chair.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit today. A little bit about AI news we missed during the OpenAI saga. For those of you who missed it, there was some massive goings on at OpenAI last week, which actually turned out to be a storm in a teacup.
Indeed.
There are a couple of things that have come from that, which we can talk about a little bit later. The main theme of today is, so all those tools that we missed, it seems that rather than there being lots and lots of new tools, and we've said this before, everything's iterating now. Getting version 2s and version 3s of all the tools that we've seen. And one of the challenges that I've had, it's been, especially with generative AI for music or for pictures or whatever, is that it's been quite hard to wrangle it to get it to do what you want. You kind of just keep on rolling a dice and go, oh, that's kind of what I want. Oh, that's not.
Yeah.
So there's loads of different tools coming out to help you get control over it, which is really cool. So
much needed, I think.
Yeah. Well, if it's going to have a professional application in the way we understood professionalism, you know, it's getting better at understanding what it is you want to do rather than just creating something.
And that's putting that new creative method aside that we've talked about, embracing the creative from it being a bit random.
Yeah.
We're talking about sitting down and doing an actual thing, achieving something that you want.
Actually solving a problem, you know. Or, you rather than, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, let's use that for something.
It's a series of solutions looking for problems.
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight a YouTube channel quickly while I was just talking about OpenAI a little bit. So Paul put me onto this amazing guy called Patrick Boyle. Who's an economist, is that right, Paul?
I think so. A finance expert as well.
Okay.
I don't know, you know.
Yeah, he's got lots of books out.
Professor of one thing or another.
Yeah, and he's got this awesome channel. And whilst everyone else was releasing a video every 2 hours about what was happening at OpenAI, Patrick, as I imagine he is in his velvet jacket, sits back and goes, I think I'll just let this play out. I'll wait for my moment. And then I'm going to cover it. And I'm just going to play the opening 30 seconds of his video entitled What Happened at OpenAI. The link will be in the description. But to me, I think he deserves an award for just this opening 30 seconds. So here's Patrick Boyle.
Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, told the Wall Street Journal last year that AI means that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. So he was probably not awfully surprised to lose his job as the CEO of OpenAI last week. There was probably no one better prepared for such an outcome. I imagine that he kept his personal items in a little box next to his desk at work so that nothing would be accidentally left behind in the office when he eventually got the call from HR.
He's amazing.
The point is that tone. It doesn't change on his videos. That is his delivery tone.
Yeah.
But it's just the way he says it. Anyway, so brilliant.
I do recommend having a watch of his Elon Musk because that is pretty special as well. Okay. Yeah.
So that's Patrick Boyle on YouTube. Seems to release a video every other week or something like that, but he's brilliant. Right, I'm going to go to a sting and then we'll get into some AI news, Paul.
Sting.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, staying on the OpenAI saga, we said last time when we were recording that everything might be different after we finished recording.
But it kind of is, but was more or less back to square one, minus some big changes, actually.
So bullet pointed, Sam Altman got sacked. A couple of his mates from OpenAI left. All the staff went, no, Sam, come back. Microsoft went, come work for us. Sam went, yeah, and a couple of his mates went, yeah, all right. And then OpenAI went, actually, Sam, why don't you come back? And we'll sack all the board and do what you want.
Yeah.
And he went, all right.
Yeah.
And everything is back to the way it was.
Yeah. So an even shorter version. The board got rid of him. The staff went, we're leaving if you do that. The board got him back, and then he sacked the board.
Yeah. That's a better one. That is a much better description of it.
Love it.
It's crazy. And if you watch that Patrick Boyle video that we just played, he's got a great assessment of it about why the governance of these companies is absolutely crazy. So if you are interested in that side of things, it's worth having a watch. But out of all this, now there was so much conspiracy theory going on. I think it was Tuesday last week, so a week ago, this Reuters article came out. And everyone was going, why did Sam Altman get sacked?
Yeah.
And one of the conspiracy theories was somebody's seen something inside OpenAI that scared the living bejesus out of them.
Yep.
And Sam Altman, this is pure conjecture. Sam Altman
quite widely known conjecture, but yeah.
Yeah, and Sam Altman goes, God, that's cool. And everyone went, it's not cool, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
And they kind of had a bit of a falling out about it.
I think the board went, why didn't you tell us about this?
Yeah. So loads of people like worrying about have they found AGI? Is the singularity happening? Is what's going on? But then this letter appeared, and I don't know if this is true, and Reuters don't know if it's true, but Reuters are, pretty reputable.
Yeah.
And this is apparently a letter sent by the staff to the board about this thing called Q-Star.
Now, I was chatting to Jake about this. Can I just say?
Yeah.
They're a bunch of nerds, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering why they called it Q. And I was wondering if it was based on, don't know if you know this character, Martin, but in Star Trek, there was a character called Q with godlike powers. Literally, whatever he could think of, he could make happen, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I was wondering if they called it Q-Star, as in like Q with an extra star, like Q++.
Yeah, better than Q. Q 2.1.
Yeah, Q 2.1, which, that is pure conjecture on my part.
When I read into it, and again, this is sketchy at best, it was about its mathematical ability. So LLMs are, good at guessing the next word and putting them into an order that seems cohesive.
Yeah.
And they were saying that it could challenge the mathematical ability of anyone in grade school, which doesn't sound like much. And I did read this analysis of it and saying, well, when generating text or answers to text questions, there's not like a right answer, if you see what I mean, answer. So it can seem very natural when it's generating a response.
Yeah.
Because there's a million different answers and a million different ways of putting words in front of each other. Whereas with maths and reasoning, there's an answer.
There's a true answer.
This is reading from the Reuters article. Some at OpenAI believe Q-Star, pronounced Q-Star, obviously. What are you going to say? Q***. Anyway. Could be a breakthrough in the startup search for what's known as artificial general intelligence, one of the people told Reuters. OpenAI defines AGI as autonomous systems that surpass humans in most economically valuable tasks. There's another guy I listen to on YouTube, which is a guy called Wes Roth. And this is a conjecture again, but kind of ties in with the maths thing. And this is why the maths thing could be important. So, if you like, our entire financial system, our entire web is based on encryption.
Yeah.
A mathematical encryption. And then if you get into Bitcoin, the idea is that it's impossible to break.
Yeah.
With this AI maths whizziness and like so many GPUs, it's take minutes to break it.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then our entire economic system and all our data, it just doesn't work anymore.
Ooh.
And that was his theory about why everyone is terrified on it. And like, not the end of humanity, but maybe the end of commercial business as we know it.
Oh, you're going to like that though, aren't you, Martin?
Yeah.
Just so everyone is aware, Martin is a massive Fight Club fan. And of course, the end of that film, what happens?
So at the end of that film is a glorious scene, music from the Pixies.
Yeah.
And they basically take everyone's credit rating down to 0 by doing something nasty to the bank. It means it erases all records of everyone's credit history and everyone goes back to 0.
Well, AI could be doing that soon.
Yeah.
Before Christmas, you never know.
You never know, because as you mentioned, it's a long time to Christmas, Paul, so I don't think we should talk about it.
Yeah, correct.
Anyway, if you want to read that article, links in the description. Right, moving away from OpenAI, because it's just taken up far too much of the conversation for far too long. Let's see what else has happened. Okay, so Runway, an image and video generation model. You can go online and try them, Runway and ML. They have a model called Gen 2, and they've introduced a new tool called Motion Brush. So if anyone's ever used After Effects or Photoshop, this is kind of like doing a roto brush or a mask brush. You get a picture, you just highlight areas of the picture that you want it to introduce some animation or some movement into.
Yeah.
So this could be as simple as, just highlighting someone's eyes, so just their eyes move. Or if, say, you've got a car in the scene on a road and you just highlight the car, then the car will move.
Yeah.
And you can dictate this separately from camera movement.
Yeah.
So what I love about this is you can actually direct the action and you can direct the camera.
Yeah, amazing.
So there's loads of people using that at the moment, and there's a link in the description to their announcement of this. And you can just go out, just jump onto Runway Gen 2 and have a look at it. I should say this is only for image to image.
Yeah.
So, you've got to have an image to start with. I remember we did a theatre show where they only had stills.
Yes.
And they wanted a trailer. And we came up with, or should I say, Steve, our motion graphics guy, came up with this really good method of animating these stills.
I mean, I was just thinking myself then, some of the processes that we used to do, some of that frame by frame business, you can see professional applications straight away.
Yeah. So, and hopefully there's going to be more control coming, which means you'll get, I'd say, more traditional videos if you're comparing it to things that exist already, giving creators a lot more control on what they want to do rather than just having to hit
I interrupted you there, but I think it was worth carrying on. I think what Steve used to do was bring still images to life, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We'd put motion into still images.
Yeah, kind of make it look like a slow-mo shot instead of just a still.
Yeah.
And, it was a long process, but it looked really, really good. And
it did.
This is kind of the same thing, but just done by AI instead, and a lot more controllable as well.
Yeah, in seconds, really, comparatively. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I can see why some people get a bit depressed about it.
Well, yeah.
Okay, staying in the image generation world, something new to me, but not new. This thing called Comfy UI, which uses Stable Diffusion. So Stable Diffusion, as we said loads of times, is an open source image generation model.
Yeah.
And traditionally, I say traditionally like it's happened for years. So since you showed me this about 2 months ago, Paul, I use this thing called Automatic 1111 to control it. This is where you put your text prompts in and you can, fine tune what you're trying to achieve. But there's this thing called Comfy UI, which, if you've ever done node-based video editing, or should I say node-based visual effects, so something like Fusion, I think this will be really familiar to people. You're not a fan of it, are you, Paul?
Yes and no. It's the worst named product in the world, but I do see how it's way more versatile. How you can connect different things to different things and make different things happen. This is all really irrelevant if you've never seen it. But
absolutely relevant if you haven't seen it. But
I'm trying to think of
there's a link in the description to a guy called Scott Deviller, however you pronounce his name. So he works at Stability AI.
Yes.
And the guys who do Comfy UI are based in the same place as Stability AI. So they're kind of working on making sure that this always works with Stable Diffusion. And I suppose the easiest way to describe it, rather than putting just text inputs into a load of fields on a website, which is essentially what Automatic 1111 is, so putting figures in and using sliders, this is like using a load of boxes and connecting them with digital wires. That's that's the way I can describe it. But if you have a look at his videos, and Paul put me onto this guy, if you actually want to learn how to use Comfy UI and understand how Stable Diffusion actually creates images,
yes,
it is worth half an hour of your life.
Definitely. That's the part, the understanding of the model, which I think you can take into the other interfaces, to be honest. You know.
And I think once you understand the process, I think you can then start to creatively use it to generate the stuff that you want. And I think it ties into, once you understand the fundamentals, regardless of the interface you're using, you're going to be able to generate the same things, really.
Yeah. It's one of those videos every 2 minutes you're going, "Ooh, didn't know that. Ooh, didn't know that."
There's another guy called Nerdy Rodent, great YouTube name. So I know, YouTube is a strange.
This is more my
place.
level now. Let's get on to it.
So again, link in the description. So Nerdy Rodent works with, does tutorials for Comfy UI, not as in depth as Scott, but in very usable, and assumes that you know how to use it. And I'd never heard of this before, but there's a piece of software called Krita, which is like Photoshop but free.
Yeah.
And there's another one that we used to use called GIMP, actually, which does this kind of same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Krita seems to be aimed at artists, so it's about sketching and about digital drawings. And Krita have done an integration with Stable Diffusion, with Comfy UI running in the background. So without getting too technical about it, what you can do is you can use your scribbles to direct the content of your pictures. So using a text prompt, so it might be, let's stick with his thing, a nerdy rodent on the street. That might be your text prompt. You can then literally sketch out what you want it to look like. Then Stable Diffusion via Comfy UI will look at that sketch and then arrange your picture in that format.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's really controllable. It seems to understand my childhood drawings.
Right, yeah.
So like if you draw like a shallow M in the sky, it guesses that you want a bird.
Right, yeah.
If you draw that kind of crap house that you used to draw when you were a kid, it recognizes that shape as a house.
Yeah, I just want to say this is kind of as you go, though, isn't it? It's not.
Oh God, that is the most important thing.
Yeah, it's not do a sketch and then the thing happens. As you're drawing, it's filling in the details, and it's really cool.
You're absolutely right. The picture is constantly updating it, albeit at relatively low quality. But what's really cool is that you start to see what you're doing in real time and how it affects the picture generation. And from a learning perspective and learning how to get control of this stuff, it's an amazing experience, really.
Yeah. The thing that astounds me about that is the way that your new details blend with the old ones. It's really astonishing.
Yeah, it's also a good way of getting to learn what different prompts make.
Yeah.
So literally moving a comma or changing a word will change the generation of your picture. I should say that Krita runs on your computer and Stable Diffusion, open source, runs on your computer. And anyone can download this and use it as long as you've got more than, I think it's 6 gig of VRAM on your graphics card. But I
do believe Comfy UI will run on CPU only, though.
It will.
It's really slow.
Yeah. You won't be able to do the real-time thing.
No.
Even if you don't want to download it, I think watching that Nerdy Rodent video that's in the description is worth it just to see what's possible. And I think I've actually seen a load of people trying this out on LinkedIn and just posting a side-by-side video. I was thinking of trying to do a tutorial on it, but Nerdy Rodent does a much better job than me. So watch that one. Yeah. Right, moving on to a little bit of text now. So yeah, definitely getting away from image creation and back into large language models that isn't OpenAI. So Orca 2 has been released. Now, probably not a lot of people know what Orca is. Orca is a large language model which is open source. So you can download it and run it on your machine. if you're so inclined. And Orca 1 was released, and compared to like GPT-4, it's not amazing, but it's good. The big difference about Orca 2, and this is something we chatted about maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago, is that it's entirely trained on synthetic data. Do you want to explain what that means, Paul?
Yes. So synthetic data, sorry, I was furiously typing something into looking for a video on YouTube, which we'll link in the description below when I explain what it is. So synthetic data is data created by AIs to train other AIs. Now, I'm going to give you a quick example. There's been a flurry of self-driving cars being trained on world situations that have been generated by AI, and the AI literally generates video which trains the camera and the eyes, if you like, of the self-driving cars. So we've got AI creating data to train AI.
Yeah, which is crazy when you think about it.
It is crazy.
So a lot of people were worried about that the progress of AI will stop because we'll lose any useful data because they've already crunched through all the data that exists on the internet that humans have created. Their answer to this was to get the models that have been trained on human data to create new data for the new models to train on. And the thought we were having about this was that, well, won't it just get really, what's the word? Vanilla. Won't it just start to get exactly the same?
Yeah, like a feedback loop. Yeah, that was the worry of the large language models trolling the web, which will be full of large language model data.
But apparently when these models are trained on data, they have so many training points, and that dictates the size of the model. So, and the tradition again, just the last year, it's been the bigger the data that it's trained on, the better the LLM. So the more amount of training points it has, the better the LLM.
Yep.
So they've managed to create Orca 2, which can compete with models trained on 10 times the size of the data, which means it's cheaper, it's quicker to respond, it's quicker to train. And I was digging into this, or should I say Wes Ross, link in the description, was digging into this. And instead of teaching it facts and then trying to get it to infer skills from those facts, what it teaches is, so the large language model teaches the new language model how to work stuff out. So it gives it methodologies, which means that it can work stuff out really quickly and gives it all these new skills, which is terrifying. But it means that essentially, like with the cars, we've got an infinite amount of data. I don't know if Orca 2 is ready for download. I haven't actually tried it out, but looking at those fancy charts that they do that show how powerful it is, it's pretty bloody powerful. And it's open source. The other thing I was going to say about this is Microsoft.
Yeah.
Who own 49% of OpenAI.
Yeah, again.
Okay, moving on. Pi 2, so another AI company, Inflection AI, which is with our friend, not a personal friend at all. We've just read his book. Guy called Mustafa Suleyman.
Feel like a friend.
Feels like a friend. Mustafa Suleyman's company, Inflection. So they've got a new model that's been released called Pi.
Yeah.
And it's Pi 2 that they've released. I'll just give you some headlines of this. It outperforms Google's Palm 2 large language model, if anyone's tried Google's AI.
Yeah. It's not a big brag, that one.
No.
Sorry, Mustafa.
But here's their big brag. It's the second most capable LLM in the world, only behind GPT-4.
Second place, yay.
I know, you shouted about second place.
That's anyway.
We are the second best. I think the difference is, I think it's currently free.
Right, there we go. Well, yeah.
There you go. So you can be second best for free.
How much is second place worth? Is that half price subscription? Or?
I'm going to read out what it says they can do. So Inflection 2 will soon power Pi, Inflection's personal AI assistant. Optimizations allow it to be served more efficiently than Inflection 1, despite being much larger. Inflection are the people who take safety and security and trust really, really seriously. And I think they were the first people to sign the White House's voluntary commitments on alignment. You remember that Biden was going on about? We talked about that a while back. But the detailed benchmark results are showing superior performance over models like Claude 2. So that we use a lot. Llama 2. Grok, which isn't released yet, which is Elon Musk's Twitter's one.
Yeah.
X's one, sorry. I'm so want to see that one trained on Twitter content. It's going to be so angry.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So Pi 2 have moved forward, trying to get closer to GPT-4. No one seems to be beating that yet. And Claude 2.1 has been released. So Claude 2 was already out. They haven't gone to 2.5 or 3.
No.
It's just Claude 2.1.
2.1. Very techy.
The big thing that they're talking about is that they've got a 200,000 token context window.
Woo.
Which might not mean anything to anyone. We talked about tokens before, is how much text you can have in your question and your response.
Yeah.
So the models are limited by how many words or tokens. It's not the same. But it's around about 500 pages of context can now be provided to Claude. So you could literally upload a book, not that you should, and then ask it questions on that book. They have noticed one thing with all of this. If you're uploading a large piece of text and asking questions about it, if you're asking questions about the beginning of your text, so say chapter 1, the large language model will be really good at answering questions. If you're asking it about the end of the text, it'll be really good at answering questions. But if you ask it about the bit in the middle,
Yeah.
don't expect it to be right.
Like every human, every meeting ever.
This is true, that.
It's
true.
so like a human. It makes me giggle every time.
The beginning and the end are what
Yeah.
is important. What
Yeah.
happens in the middle
Yeah. Oh,
is kind of irrelevant. Yeah. It's kind of like a film or a telly program, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Or a song.
Yeah.
Great opening.
Yeah.
Great ending. Bit in
Yeah.
the middle. Just make your way through, yeah?
Yeah.
Just has to be good enough to get you to the end.
Amazing. Wonder where that's come from. Fascinating, that.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's Claude 2. Anyway, haven't tried it. We shall see.
It doesn't really need that big window, does it?
No, just put the beginning and the end in. And just ask it to make up the bit in the middle. That'll be fine. Right, scary stuff. We haven't had scary stuff for a while.
No.
Killer robots.
Yes, killer robots. Oh no, I mean, well, but yes.
No. Yeah. Wow, you're talking about me wanting destruction. Bloody hell, Paul. Anyway, I'm going to read this. So, Pentagon's AI. That just makes me scared. I can just stop there, but it gets worse. Pentagon's AI initiatives accelerate, scary again, hard decisions on lethal, autonomous, you know what the last word is?
Bananas. No.
Yeah. Weapons.
Oh my God.
So Pentagon's AI initiatives accelerate hard decisions on lethal autonomous weapons.
I mean, we've moved from, I remember, when did this happen? It's like we've moved from, should we allow drones to make decisions?
to, we're allowing them.
But yeah, but how do we accelerate it?
Yeah. Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
The link to this article from APN News is in the description. But here we go. The Pentagon is pushing to field thousands of low-cost autonomous drones by 2026 through an initiative called Replicator. Oh my God!
Oh no.
This seeks to accelerate AI adoption for military purposes to keep pace with China.
Yeah,
Fully autonomous lethal weapons will likely exist within years. We all know they exist already, tinfoil hat. Of course they do. Though humans will still supervise. Swarms raise more AI reliability and ethical concerns.
Swarms, though. Swarms. Black Mirror, anyone? I mean,
there was a video done by a company in Manchester called Space Digital, which was imagining what had happened with swarms. I'll dig that video out and put it in. It's really good. These are the words I'm focusing in on. Swarms, autonomous lethal weapons, replicator. And then imagine they're all trained on... So AI is training the AI autonomous lethal weapons to organize themselves into swarms.
Yep.
but they're going to answer to humans.
Yeah, it's also running a factory that builds them.
Yeah. So AI has already been used in military operations to track threats, predict maintenance needs, boost soldier performance, and aid Ukraine. Mm-hmm. The industry is advancing, you ready for this? Loyal wingman programs to team crewed and uncrewed vehicles. Mm-hmm. Full autonomy timelines are uncertain. And then this is the bit where they kind of go, it's going to be all right. Whilst confidence exists for defensive uses, broader deployment involves AI reliability and ethical risks. Testing challenges exist around evaluating increasingly complex AI systems that nobody understands how they work.
No.
The Pentagon may have to accept and manage its risk if it fields AI tech before it is fully validated.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not like they haven't done anything like that before, put something into the battlefield that wasn't ready or anything. Really terrifying. I mean, what the Oppenheimer, topical a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I haven't seen the film yet, to be fair, but there was a lot of talk around that nuclear test, wasn't there, whether they were going to set the whole atmosphere on fire.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll do it anyway. Push the button, go for it.
We probably won't
set
the whole atmosphere. Yeah. So, but the only way of knowing is if we do it.
Yeah. So, yeah, there we go.
Then comes in the Titan, Paul, next story. The Titan.
Sorry.
The Titan
I've just
of
looked
tech.
at which one it is.
The Titan of tech that everybody knows and relies on every day. Google. Google have come in with an earth-shattering AI announcement. Can you hear the dripping of sarcasm?
Yeah, only totally though.
So Google has launched. Are you ready? I feel so excited.
Do you have a sting before you say this? It's so big.
I'm going to do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go for a sting because this
Sting.
next news is so big. Right, I've just collected myself.
Yeah.
Right. Google, here we go. I'm going to announce it now. Sod it. I'm just no more build up. You ready? Google has launched a new hand gesture feature in Google Meet that recognizes when a user raises their physical hand on camera. It triggers the hand rise icon to notify others that the user has a question. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can see them on Google Meet, can't you?
You can. That's the whole point, isn't it?
So if you put your hand up,
Yeah.
I think they're more likely to see the hand
Yeah.
than the icon.
Yeah.
So not only is it a bit rubbish,
But pointless.
kind of pointless. I'm going to go on with their press release.
Nope.
The feature uses AI to detect when the hand is visible to the camera, raised away from the face/body and held up for a few seconds. When triggered, the hand raise icon appears in the user's video window and they are moved to the main grid so moderators can see the the request to speak. Okay, so that's a bit sensible.
So it's for massive online meetings, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
when there's like 30, 40 or more. Yeah. But okay. I mean, it's still a bit rubbish, but you know.
I love this, won't there? This allows users to virtually raise their hand to get called on without having to click the button, which could be useful if they are away from the mouse or have dirty hands.
Yeah. There was a meeting somewhere at Google, wasn't there? Right, look, we're being outshined, everyone. We used to be kings. I need to know, what have you got? What, anyone, any department, what have you got? Someone at Google Meet went, well, we've got this hand-raising gesture thing.
I mean, it's not
That'll
in our
do.
news. I know. Oh, it's not in our news thing, but a student in Mumbai has created AI that will read sign language.
Yeah, right. There.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is Google.
Oh,
and
poor
like it
Google.
follows last month's amazing the introduction of portrait touch-up capabilities to Google Meet, including complexion smoothing and eye whitening.
Yeah. I mean,
It's depressing, that.
yeah, a little bit.
Unless they're just hiding something. We have been a bit horrible to Google. We use it every day, but
Yeah, every day.
I know, but just like stay out of it. Let the other, just don't announce.
I can get something good first.
I know. We've got something new, amazing, guys.
Yeah.
When you put your hand up, it'll do an icon to say you've got your hand up.
No good for me. Rubbish, that.
What if you talk with your hands?
I know, a lot of people do that. That was exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
You'd be forever being put into the meeting and like going,
know.
what have you got to say, Mr. Billington?
Yeah. Oh, nothing. I was...
Just scratching my nose.
Yeah.
Anyway, that lightens the mood after Death Pentagon AI.
Yeah.
Anyway. Right, last couple of things now. This is a news from a little bit ago, which I didn't mention, but it leads us nicely into the tool that we're going to try out.
All right.
So Pictori AI, which is a tool that you can create video out of text. And you kind of create presenters that speak your words, basically. So you can create the tutorial videos or whatever you like with it. And they teamed up with, I would say, the behemoth, the king or queen of AI voices, 11 Labs.
Yes.
So, so it kind of just brings amazing voice to Pictori AI, but it brings me back to 11 Labs, who we've covered before, and we've tried out a few of their things before.
Yep.
And they have released, which in the first instance sounds like a bit of a Google announcement, speech to speech.
Right.
And you're like,
yep.
So, well, hang on, I can already speak.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I think a little bit more useful. And again, with the theme of, these tools being actually useful to people, I think it is actually a really, really big move forward. But we're going to try it out after this sting. Sting! Okay, 11 Labs speech to speech. So you can try this out on 11 Labs right now. You can go and give it a go. But basically, what it is you traditionally, I've got to start thinking of a better word than traditionally.
Well, they say traditional's all right. I mean,
All right, okay. Yeah. Historically, not even historically.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah.
Previously, and you can still do this. So previously in 11 Labs, what it was really good at is you could type in some text, pick an AI voice, hit generate, and it will just create it in a way that seems very, very natural. Or one of the challenges we've had with AI voices is being able to dictate the tone and the style and the excitement level of the voice. And there's been a few tools out that do this, and you end up drawing graphs or using some kind of notation to say, like, 3 exclamation marks means you go yes rather than yes.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But it's been quite difficult to wrangle it in the way that you'd be used to directing a voiceover artist.
Yeah, quite time consuming, and there's quite a big learning curve for that.
Yeah.
And a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, which I think has made it difficult for people to adopt in, let's say, a traditional professional environment as a viable option.
Yeah.
Although I've seen a few YouTube channels which exclusively use that to create their, and tutorials to create their voices. They're definitely using 11 Labs. I thought we'd give this a go. And I'm going to tie it in with what we're doing with one of our brands, which is Warehouse City Sounds.
Yes.
So a lot of people have been using this for drama, like to create film trailers and things like that. But I thought we'd go back into our old world and look at it about creating an advert. Because that's mostly our experience with recording voice has been for recording adverts, which are generally very excited and up.
Yep.
So one of the products we're releasing is a sample pack of a 90s synth. So I thought what I'd do is I'd jump into ChatGPT and I would give it a little bit of information about the product and ask it to write an ad for me. And then I would use that text to put into 11 Labs, get it to generate its normal voice, and then as a different challenge, I'd then record it in my voiceover voice, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, and then change the voice sound. I hope that makes some sense.
Yeah, I'm following.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to play you what 11 Labs normally does in one of their voices. So this is one of their voices called Lily. And I've just cut and paste the text in. We won't listen to it all. So this is just like the normal 11 Labs, and I've picked a voice. Haven't really messed with it. I've just took the main voice and just gone, right, do this. So here is a little bit of the script.
Attention all music creators and house music aficionados. Get ready to elevate your tracks with the iconic sound that defined a genre. Introducing from Warehouse City Sounds, the Korg M1 Piano 16 Dirty 1.
The reason it's put a 1 in there is because I put an exclamation mark in. It's changed it to a 1.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, in the text, which I know, the dirty one, which I found really funny. But so whereas the voice sounds great, I think, it doesn't sound very advertising, does it?
No.
It doesn't.
Unless it was one of those medical adverts.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a tutorial or like, some narration. But I have for a while been trying to get it to be excited and up and like, cheesy ad style.
Yeah.
So
with a smile on your face, please.
With a smile, Paul. With a smile. It's one of your favorite phrases. With a smile, please. I actually did record this with a smile.
Did you go?
Yeah. So I went to 11 Labs, and then I went to speech synthesis, and then clicked on speech to speech.
Right.
And there's a section when you go to speech that you can upload a file, or you can just do it live.
Yeah.
And it will record it. So I was going to try and pretend that that's what I was about to do now, and that I'd recorded it live, but I recorded it a little while ago. So,
okay.
But I literally recorded it like this. I went, dive into 88 pristine audio files, expert, like that kind of style. So quite up. So attention, all music creators. And then got it to spit me out some voices. So do you want to have a listen to them?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've banged them into DaVinci Resolve and put on a little bit of compression, some dodgy chorus and a bit of reverb.
Right.
Just because in my mind, that's what you do.
Yeah, okay.
But this is in no way finessed. It took me about 5 minutes this morning.
Right, okay. Go on.
Okay, so I'm just going to play you a few of the different voices.
Attention all music creators and house music aficionados. Get ready to elevate your tracks with the iconic sound that defined the genre. Introducing from Warehouse City Sounds, the Korg M1 Piano 16 Dirty.
I don't think that's that bad.
No, not that bad at all.
I mean,
no.
You can hear the inflection. And the weird thing is, that voice model is a guy called Wayne.
All right. Yeah.
And he's American. And what I didn't expect to happen was it's picked up my terrible Manc accent.
Yeah.
Or it's de-Americanized it and recognised that it's British and kind of made Wayne British.
Yeah, that's clever.
Which he isn't. So I'm just going to play you a couple of others. So, again, took exactly the same recording and then changed the voice. So here we go.
Attention all music creators and house music aficionados. Get ready to elevate your tracks with the iconic sound that defined a genre. Introducing from Warehouse City Sounds, the Korg M1 Piano 16 Dirty.
Very Radio 1.
Very Radio 1. Oh, it did sound like it said chord, strangely.
It did.
Yeah.
It's obviously misunderstood me on that one. So these are some little bits that you'll have to work out. It's going to play you a couple of others. I'll use a different bit of script. So here's another lady, I think.
All 88 Notes captures the M1's distinctive, expressive quality, the heart and soul of EDM. From the pulsing dance floors of the underground clubs to today's streaming devices, this sound has inspired millions. Now it's your turn to be part of history.
So that sounds like a Manc girl.
Yeah, it does. Sounds like regional radio.
Yeah, it does. But the weird thing is that's an American model again.
Okay, weird.
I don't think
very northern. It was very northern, inspired almost. Yeah.
I don't think I have a northern accent, but I obviously do.
Yes.
So there you go. So to most people, this won't make sense because it's got no music behind it or anything for a radio ad. But our process when we're recording an ad is we'll phone up a load of different voiceover artists and we'll ask them to do a guide read.
Yeah.
For the client to then pick which voice they want to do a proper record with.
Yeah.
And to me, that's this process.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
No, we could, they can send us the scripts and we can just send them loads of different AI voices
Yep.
They can pick the one that they like. And then to direct it, you can just record it in your own rubbish voice.
Yeah.
Although I didn't expect it to take on my Manc accent, I do have to say. But do you want to hear it with some music, Paul?
Yes, please.
So let's try and make this like a real ad. Do you have a particular one you want to go with, voices-wise?
I don't know which one was which. I quite liked. Yeah, go on.
Shall I just do one male, one female? So you get an idea?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so here we go. This is, bear in mind, this ad isn't right for the product, if anyone's thinking of buying it. It's not out yet, and the ad will probably be very different. This is just to demonstrate 11 Labs.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Just really heavily caveated.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Attention all music creators and house music aficionados. Get ready to elevate your tracks with the iconic sound that defined the genre. Introducing from Warehouse City Sounds, the Korg M1 Piano 16 Dirty. All 88 notes captures the M1's distinctive, expressive quality, the heart and soul of EDM. From the pulsing dance floors of the underground clubs to today's streaming devices, this sound has inspired millions. Now it's your turn to be part of history. And here's the best part. Warehouse City Sounds offers this pack on a pay-what-you-feel basis. That's right, you decide its value to you. Don't miss out on this chance to own a piece of house music history. Visit Warehouse City Sounds today and add the Korg M1 Piano 16 Dirty to your collection.
Here we go.
Ooh.
Timing's a bit off at the end there.
Timing was a bit off at the end there. It was quite good with that build. Quite like that track though. What is it?
I think it might be one of yours, Paul.
Oh, amazing.
I think it might be one of yours using the Korg M1 piano.
I think you're right, you know.
It's really cool, that track, though. It is really cool. All right, I'm just going to do the Radio 1 mix now.
Okay.
There's one lady which felt... This feels very Radio 1.
Okay, yeah.
Very dance anthems.
Okay, yeah.
This one hasn't taken so much of my northern accent. I'm sure the settings in 11 Labs you can tweak this with. So.
Right, yeah.
Last one.
Attention all music creators and house music aficionados. Get ready to elevate your tracks with the iconic sound that defined the genre. Introducing from Warehouse City Sounds, the Korg M1 Piano 16 Dirty. Every note captures the M1's distinctive, expressive quality, the heart and soul of EDM. From the pulsing dance floors of the underground clubs to today's streaming devices, the sound has inspired millions. Now it's your turn to be part of history. And here's the best part. Warehouse City Sounds offers this pack on a pay-what-you-feel basis. That's right, you decide the value to you. Don't miss out on this chance to own a piece of house music history. Visit Warehouse City Sounds today and add the Korg M1 Piano 16 Dirty to your collection.
I do have to apologise for what we refer to as Craig Leadham music edits. Sorry, Craig. Nothing personal.
The mix is a bit upside down as well. But hey, you know,
the mix.
Fine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So how many times did we play that advert then?
I think we played it 4 times.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
I know. We've got ads, Paul. We've got ads.
So it's for example. It's for tutorial purposes only.
Well,
Come on.
Well, it absolutely is.
It is.
Absolutely is.
It's not even the ad anyway, so there we go.
Yeah. So there you go. 11 Labs. Maybe this will be what shifts the needle a little bit. I mean, ages ago, we did an episode where we cloned an actor's friend's voice.
Yep.
And not an actor's friend, a friend who is an actor.
A friend who is an actor, yeah.
And a voiceover
We've got
artist.
the friend of an actor on today. That's the caliber of guests we have.
Yeah, it's the Googleification of podcast guests. That is.
So, you know an actor.
Tell us, how did you meet him? Was he interesting? What do you think if we cloned his voice? But anyway, we cloned his voice using some stuff in Descript. This is about 6 weeks ago, which isn't long, really.
It's an age, I nearly swore then. It's an age in AI, that, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. But, I mean, and, you know, this brings back, maybe this will mean it gets commercially adopted now.
Yeah.
Because I can see us, once we've, like, worked out how to tame it a little bit, that I reckon I could use in a commercial environment.
Yeah, and just a quick rundown. What's the copyright laws on that?
So if you pay their stuff,
Yep.
you own it.
Right, yeah.
And those voices are not even trained voices.
No.
Those voices are just generated.
Yeah.
So they have this thing on 11 Labs called Voice Lab, where you can just design a voice.
Yeah.
So
Are we paying
I know
for that?
we have in the past to train, because I trained my voice on it.
Yeah.
If
you jump back in on your subscription, do those are they still there? Your models?
Yeah, so my trained voice is still there.
Well, I was just interested in creating some samples. Yeah.
Go on, what do you mean?
Using that
voice samples. All right, you mean singing?
Not singing, no.
Okay, give me something to say.
Well, there's that, because there's, you know, in house music and tech house world, if it's an instrumental, there's always little vocal hooks. They don't necessarily have to be singing, and you can always make them sing afterwards. Anyway,
can you give me a hook? Give me a hook, Paul.
off the top of my head, I don't know. Something about the dance floor. Something cheesy about the dance floor. I don't know.
Get your body moving on the dance floor.
Yeah, just stick to get your body moving. That'll do.
Okay. All right. I'm going to record some stuff. You ready?
Yeah.
This is proper embarrassing. Right. Here we go. Here we go. Get your body moving. Get your body moving. I'm trying to think of 1, 2.
More of a smile on your face, please, man.
Sorry. You. Didn't swear then. All right, here we go. Get your body moving. Get your body moving. Get your body moving.
That was... Book your tickets now.
I know it was.
Book your tickets now.
Book your tickets now.
Book your tickets now. Limited tickets available.
Okay. So I'm going to play some voice samples that we want to turn this into. So here's Nigel.
Whatever happens, take responsibility.
We've got Tom Hiddleston-ish, similar to Tom Hiddleston.
We are all something, but none of us are everything.
Okay, Wayne. We could go for our mate Wayne.
The heart has eyes which the brain knows nothing of.
It was Tom Wayne and some ladies.
Okay, some ladies right there. Let's go. Nicole?
Yeah.
If one is lucky, a solitary fantasy can totally transform 1 million realities.
That's Dommy. We could go for Mimi. English, Swedish.
Yeah, do that one.
Yeah, okay, right. I'm going to generate Mimi based on my voice. This is going to be weird. Generation is done.
Get your body moving. Get your body moving. Get your body moving.
Sounds like a granny, weirdly.
It does. It does.
Yeah, okay.
Get your body moving.
Okay, let's just try a different voice. Charlotte. Let's try Charlotte. There we go. But this is how quick it is. I've not cut any of this out. This is how quick.
Get your body moving. Get your body moving. Get your body moving.
I can see it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, one last one, just to see if we can find something that's amazing.
Was that whispery one? I quite like that. But I wanted to see if some of that voice will, you know what I mean? That was. Sorry, everyone, we're working on it. And I was just trying something.
I know. Yeah. Right, here's Tommy.
Get your body moving. Get your body moving. Get your body moving.
It's interesting, though. I'm going to have a play with that.
So I'm just going to try Wayne, just because I really like Wayne.
Go on.
And I'm going to mess with some of Wayne's settings so I can make him more variable.
Right.
And I can do style exaggeration loads.
Right.
And so 11 Labs is warning me that this is unstable.
Right.
Now, which I quite like.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit generate. Here we go.
Get your body moving. Get your body moving. Get yellow body moving.
Yellow!
Get yellow body moving, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I'll have a play.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's 11 Labs. We'll leave that there. We might have cut a bit out there that you missed, or we might have just listened to us messing around trying to generate samples. Who knows? Anyway, let's take a sting, shall we?
Sting.
How long have we been recording for?
An hour and 9 minutes.
All right. So in that case, I think we pretty much just leave it there. We were going to talk about building shops, not real ones.
No.
Digital shops.
No. Let's do it next week.
Yeah, when we've actually done it, when we've actually finished doing it.
Yeah.
But so this week we are doing some stuff. So we're aiming at getting products released.
Yeah. We've got an advertising campaign to launch, which I think we mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. We're doing an in-person meet tomorrow, which I'm very excited about.
Yes.
I haven't been out of my house for a week and a half.
Yeah, it does get very.
I know. It's because I was ill. I was ill last week and I couldn't make it out. It's just, so I'm very excited about going out tomorrow. And I know we keep on saying we should keep an eye on an AI calendar and what's happening. So we can go, we've got this coming up. Yep. Well, one, I can say that Gemini's still not been released, which is this big model that's meant to be released that does everything that was meant to come out last month.
Who's releasing Gemini?
DeepMind?
Yeah.
Oh, Google. Yeah. Right. So this stops Gemini, this life-changing model, but they've got hold up your hand to wave. The only bit I can see that's happening is on the 6th and 7th of December is the New York AI Summit. And apparently it's all going to be about commercializing AI.
Right,
so
that's one
if
for
you're
us.
interested in that, keep a lookout for that. That's me attempting to stay relevant.
Yeah.
So
are we going to New York?
Ooh, can we? I think I'm busy on the 7th.
No.
Anyway, that's us for this week. You can get in touch with us on Twitter at MeatPuppetsPod. We got tutorials, and this will also be up on the YouTube page at Meat Puppets Podcast. And of course, we're on LinkedIn still.
Are you doing a tutorial about 11 Labs?
I could do.
I'm going to watch that one, and then I'll learn how to do the sample pack.
Just for you, Paul.
Yeah.
I'll attempt to make a Christmas ad.
No.
I'm
not going to watch it then, am I? Oh, okay. Do what you want.
Yeah. I'm going to try and make a Christmas ad. Well, make it topical then. You know. Anyway.
No, it's not evergreen content. People only watch it once, like every 12 months. So
it's like releasing a Christmas single every year.
Yeah. Halfway through saying that, I realised what I was saying and then went, oh God.
Yeah, it's a good idea is what you wanted to say, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, but go with it.
It won't be out for a week or so, Paul. It'll be nearly Christmas then. So anyway, bye, Paul.
Bye.